All right, welcome to another trading analytics video. The market had a pretty nice sell-off on Friday. Today we're going to take a look at where the market could possibly head from here as we go into the final week of February. But before we do that, let's take a look at our weekly catalyst tab and see what we have going on there. So it looks like on Monday, February 24th, it looks like there's no catalyst scheduled. On Tuesday, looks like we got some consumer confidence. Let's see, we got a little Fed speakers there. Wednesday, another Fed speaker, new home sales. Thursday, we got jobs, durable goods, GDP. Let's see if we have anything else. Another Fed speaker. And then Friday, we got personal income, personal spending, PCE as well. PCE being the main one to mention there. So it looks like we have a pretty decent week full of catalysts. Now we're going to jump over to the earnings calendar and let's see what we kind of have going on this week. So looking through Monday, the only notable ones I see is probably Zoom, and then we have Chegg. That's another one there. Let's see here. Tuesday we have First Solar, AMC, Home Depot. Let's see. Wednesday, we have Lowe's, IonQ, C3AI, Salesforce, and probably the biggest earnings report of the entire quarter, which is NVIDIA. That's on Wednesday. That's the one everyone is going to be paying attention to. Then Thursday, we got SoundHound. One's pretty big. Dell as well. Let's see. We got Norwegian Cruise Lines, TD Bank. Followed by Friday, we have Fubo. That's going to be an interesting one, believe it or not. And yeah, that's pretty much the only one that I think is worth mentioning there. So another pretty packed week full of earnings. It's going to be pretty exciting to see what happens with all of the catalysts and the earnings that are coming up as well. But I think the most important thing is to get into the charts, right? What are the charts telling us? So I want to go ahead and start with the S&P 500 or SPY. And as you can see, we are in a general uptrend, and you can see evidenced by what I circled out here. And right here we have the 50 EMA, which is essentially where we sold down to. And so, from here, there's a few possible scenarios, and I'll kind of go through the scenarios that might happen here, right? Like I said, we're in an uptrend, so you have to assume that the bulls are going to have the edge here. So again, we could easily just put in a higher low and slowly work our way back towards the top of the range. That's number one, right? And that would be somewhere towards 614, 615, which is basically the price target that we've been mentioning for quite a while here. So again, we could easily get a bounce from this 50 EMA up to that area there. Now, I also want to mention that we also have this lower trend line here, and you can see we've been kind of working our way inside of this trend. And so on the daily chart, that lower trend line takes you somewhere around 594, right? So again, if we don't hold this 50 EMA, in tomorrow's session, then again, we could easily head to 594 before getting a bounce there as well. So again, we have the 50 EMA potential bounce there, right? Then we have the lower end of this trend line, which also could be a bounce area, right? And then the final area that we could possibly look at, before getting a bounce, is this gap fill, right? We did kind of leave this gap open right around the 585 area, and again, from that gap fill, we could easily head back up from there as well. So there's a few scenarios here, and again, you notice every scenario I'm giving generally ends the same way, which is heading back to the top of the range, and that's because I know overall we are in a bull trend, right? So again, whether we're going to bounce from the 50 EMA or we're going to bounce from the lower end of the channel at 594, or if we're going to bounce right after we do the gap fill right around 585. All of these are viable scenarios here, but again, I think the end result remains the same. Now, I do want to mention one other thing, and let me just go ahead and clean up this chart a little bit so you guys can see. I'm gonna actually flip over to the weekly chart for a moment here, and then I'll just show you guys something. So let me go ahead and move this back, and then I'll kind of zoom in so you guys can see where I'm going with this. Right. All right. So you can see that we have this little channel here on the daily chart. I'm sorry, the weekly chart, and you'll see that we've gotten down to the lower end of the channel before and got nice bounces, and then obviously we've been riding within this channel for quite some time, right? This is back in July of last year since we've been in this channel. So again, you can see nice higher lows, higher highs in this inside of this bull trend. Every time we get to the top of the channel, we kind of see some kind of selling going on. So again, from here, I want to kind of show you guys, if you remember the gap fill that I mentioned right around 585, well, that also coincides with the lower end of this channel, which is right around here. So, again, we might go slightly below that, but again, that gap fill is not out of the question, because if we do decide to head lower, and I don't know if you can see, but we kind of do have this double top look here on the weekly. When you go to the line chart, you can see it a little more clear. So this little double top section right here, if this sends us lower, right? Let's say this does send us lower, and it sends us to the lower end of the trend line on the weekly. But that's right around the 585 area, right? You see, it's at 584.84. So it's right in that area there. That'll fill the gap and also keep us inside of the bull trend on the weekly chart, right? So again, I'm kind of paying attention to that gap fill right around 585. Now, once again, I am going to take it level by level. We don't have to go down there, but I am paying attention to it as I'm looking at the weekly chart. I do think that there is a possibility that we could end up in that scenario. But again, take it level by level. As of right now, we got support at the 50 EMA. And then, like I said, we have some daily support right at 594. And then obviously from there is where we're going to be looking at the gap fill. But just understand, once you get to the gap fill, or if you get to the gap fill, just understand that this is the bottom end of the channel on the weekly. So you will want to take a chance, especially if you do get down here. You want to take a chance and back up the truck and load up, either our leverage shares or some call options that are pushed out, because essentially this could easily mark the absolute bottom in this pullback before we head higher. So like I said, we got the 50 EMA, lower end of the trend line, and then obviously this gap fill. My hope is that we get down to the gap fill on SPY. Let's get that out of the way. That'll be the lower end of the trend line, and that would be what a wonderful entry that would be for bulls, right? So that being said, guys, we have to take it level by level, day by day. Let's see how tomorrow's price action plays out and see if we end up at the bottom of the channel. On the Nasdaq 100, or QQQ, as you can see, much like the S&P 500, we are in a bull trend illustrated by these circles that I have here. You can see that this is a very classic bull trend of higher lows and higher highs. The latest high that we put in was right around the 540 area, which is right up here. And so obviously we're seeing some cool down here and getting a pullback as of Friday's close. Now, the one thing I did expect, or what I was expecting, as you can see, we do have this trend line going across here. Originally on Friday, I did think we would get a pullback down to this trend line. This is right around 530, or that area there. And that also, is, coinciding with the 20 EMA. So I thought that we would get a bounce from this, retest area before heading higher. As you can see, that's not what happened. We did slice right through that. And so again, my thought process there obviously was wrong. But again, I did scale into some small of a position of QQQ right in this 530 area, and it's a very very small position, so I'm not really worried about it. However, again, from here, it looks like we might head towards the 50 EMA. The 50 EMA is right around 522. That 522 area also is the previous higher low that we put in. So again, you have the previous higher low and the 50 EMA sitting in the same area. So again, if the Nasdaq does see more downside, again, I do believe that it'll probably sell down to this 522 area before getting a bounce. Now, again, depending on how we open up tomorrow, or if we gap up overnight, you might see a retest of this overhead resistance that we had that was previously support. It's now going to turn into resistance here. Now, how strong of resistance that is to be determined. But again, we might get a bounce towards that 529 area overnight before possibly heading lower down to 522. So just be really careful in this 528, 529 area. A lot of people are going to get fooled with wicks and sellers might still be in control. So that being said, I'm looking at that 522 area very heavily. Whether we get a short-term bounce back to resistance before heading there, that's to be determined, as I mentioned. But once we get down to that 50 EMA, I want to see if buyers show up, and then we might make a pivot and head back higher, as that would be an equal low pullback. Now, one other thing I want to show you, just in case that scenario does not hold up. Let me clean up this chart for you guys, just so we can all be on the same page. All right, I'm going to jump over to our weekly chart really quick. So on our weekly chart, you can see that we've been pulling back, or whenever we do pull back, we basically have been catching a lot of support at this 20 EMA. And you can see we did that on back-to-back weeks here. And you can also see the other times that we've pulled back. It's basically been to the 20 EMA before bouncing. So that 20 EMA is right around 512.50 or 513, somewhere in that area. So again, if we do not hold the 522 area, just kind of set your sights on that 512 area from there. And again, at this point, I do expect buyers to kind of show up as they have previously. Expect them to kind of show up here and us to possibly head higher, because we are still, in the overall grand scheme of things, when you zoom out, this is a classic bull trend of higher lows and higher highs. So you are looking for bullish scenarios in a bull trend. You're looking to buy dips at supports for the main part. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So again, if you guys are not already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. And also like this video so we can get it out to more individuals just like you guys. We make videos like this on a weekly basis. So if you enjoyed this one, make sure you guys lock in for the next one. That being said, everyone have a terrific final trading week of February. And feel free to join us, in our Discord server with a top pinned comment. We'll love to have you over there, and let's crush some trades. See ya. Bye. Perfect.